Every year at Congregation, UBC has the honor of bestowing honorary degrees upon individuals who, in the opinion of the university community, have fit the criteria of excellence and eminence in their chosen field. It's also meant to inspire you as graduates, to bring to you a new graduate who is further along in his or her career and hopefully meant to show you what you yourself might do. Pervez Hoodbhoy is one of those individuals, and I invite him to step forward to receive his honorary degree from the University of British Columbia. It's my privilege to read the citation for your honorary degree. Mr. Chancellor, Pervez Hoodbhoy is one of Pakistan's foremost scholars of physics, as well as one of its most revered public intellectuals and global citizens. He's currently the Zora and Zizi Ahmad Distinguished Professor of Physics and Mathematics at Foreman Christian College, University in Lahore. Prior to this, he taught physics for 4 decades at Quaid-e-Azam University, widely regarded as the leading public university in Pakistan. In addition, he has been an influential advocate for regional and global nuclear disarmament and the safety of nuclear weapons and reactors, issues of great significance amidst a background of troubling instability between Pakistan and India over the Kashmir region. A complementary endeavor for Professor Hoodbhoy has been the defense of scientific rationality in the face of growing religious intolerance in Pakistan, where he has campaigned tirelessly to promote secular education and to combat radicalizing and militant religious education. His expertise and counsel has been widely sought, both within his country and beyond its borders, highlighted by his recent service as a member of the United Nations Secretary-General's Advisory Board on Disarmament Affairs. Not surprisingly, he has been the recipient of numerous awards, including the Kalinga Prize for Science Popularization from the UN's Educational, Science and Cultural Organization, and the Joseph A. Burton Forum Award from the American Physical Society. I am pleased to also note that in recent years, he has played an inspirational role here at UBC at the Liu Institute for Global Issues. Mr. Chancellor, in recognition of his courageous and insightful contributions to the science of physics and to the cause of peace, I ask you to confer the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, upon Pervez Amirali Hoodbhoy. Congratulations.
By authority of the Senate of this university, I confer upon you, Pervez Hoodbhoy, the title and degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Class of 2019. It gives me great pleasure to now ask Dr. Hoodbhoy to say a few words to you at this moment at your graduation. Please give a round of applause to Dr. Hoodbhoy.
I am deeply honored on receiving this Doctor of Law honorary degree. My congratulations to all of you for having made it, and may you have a very successful career. You just heard from your president that each one of us needs to work for a better society and be actively engaged in making the world a better place. And this is no small matter because we live in the age of Donald Trump, Narendra Modi, Imran Khan, so many that I would not want to name them in the short time that I have. Well, it was Sigmund Freud who in 1915 warned us that, quote, primitive, savage, and evil impulses of mankind have not vanished in any individual. That's so true. That self-possessed, egotistical, and often maniacal individuals have become leaders of countries, and that's really bad news for humankind. If allowed to act freely, technology makes it possible for them to destroy entire societies, countries, and perhaps the planet as well. Now, the good news, I've told you the bad news, the good news is that as a species, we humans tend to resist what's wrong and are more altruistic than selfish. We can transcend and overpower the worst that's etched into our genes. I refer to those narcissistic, selfish supermolecules that Richard Dawkins argues have self-propagation as their raison d'etre. I have a friend who's a very distinguished chemist. He lives in Denmark, and he's written extensively upon how cooperation within Homo sapiens has, on average, trumped competition between them. And it makes a lot of sense because otherwise today's complex and interdependent civilization simply wouldn't be possible. That means that you and I are bound to seek ways of changing the world for the better by acting upon our beliefs and ideals, and that we must fight what's wrong, even if that incurs a cost, and it sometimes does. I therefore claim no credit whatsoever in having followed my instincts when challenges came my way. Perhaps the most obvious, the first challenge that came to me was because I'm a nuclear physicist. I got my degree in nuclear physics, my PhD from MIT. And even as I studied the inner workings of the atomic nucleus during my doctoral work there back in the 1970s, I hadn't the slightest doubt that the bomb was a monstrous abomination and an instrument of mass murder. To warn against it and to work for peace between India and Pakistan was then and remains of utmost importance to me. We saw the fierce skirmishes earlier this year, and it showed just how close we are to the nuclear brink. That's why activism for eliminating nuclear weapons must continue on both sides of the border. As a practicing physicist, I remain in awe of the power of equations and of abstract mathematics. These have produced not just the modern world as we see it, but they have also made it possible to understand the world in simple terms. Just from a few principles, we can understand so much, and there's that enormous beauty and power in physics. To explain this, and to explain physical's complexity in simple terms, in the language of my country, Urdu, via television, via video, via public lectures, that has been my little contribution to the youth of my country. Now, to me, science is a wonderful Trojan horse. You all know of that giant wooden horse with a hollow belly that the ancient Greeks had used to penetrate the walls of the city of Troy. Science, too, is a kind of Trojan horse. It's marvelously deceptive because it brings us all the trappings of the modern world, and yet hidden within this Trojan's belly is a sharp knife that cuts through irrationality, through superstition, like as if it was butter. So that, to me, is really, really important about science. I have lived my life and continue to work in the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. This is a country that was born because its founding fathers assumed that Muslims and Hindus could never live together. They also assumed that Muslims could always live together in peace with each other. These were, I'm afraid, hideously false assumptions with catastrophic consequences. We saw this in the tragedy of 1971 when East Pakistan bloodily separated from West Pakistan and became Bangladesh. We saw it again in the decade 2000 from the year 2005 to 2015, which is not long ago, when 60,000 lives were lost. And this was a war fought by those Muslims who believe in imposing their particular version of Islam upon other Muslims. That war, I'm afraid, has not yet ended. I'm sad, very sad now, to see that India now seeks to emulate Pakistan and wishes to become a Hindu religious state. It was just a few decades ago that enlightened Pakistanis would look across the border towards India and see over there a state that valued religious diversity and secularism. I'm afraid that's no longer the case, and particularly after these elections. The struggle to make both countries free of religious, ethnic, and class prejudices is a monumental task that coming generations of Pakistanis and Indians must take upon themselves. For us in Pakistan, there is an additional challenge, and that is to escape the Praetorian shadow. I have been fortunate in having escaped the worst, but many have not. Some have fled the country, while thousands of others have been, quote, disappeared by the authorities. I will end by asserting, without proof, I will end by asserting that you and I have agency, free will, and that we are endowed with rationality by virtue of our evolutionary past. Science and scientific humanism offer us a way away from our childhood indoctrination into saluting a flag and flattening ourselves before the right God. I'm confident that in the long run, we shall create a universal earth-based civilization built upon reason and compassion. Until then, let patience be on our side and the will to keep fighting as long as is needed. Thank you very much for listening, and congratulations to you again.